Fit Locals, and 7 million unexpected pregnancies predicted as a result of COVID-19. These and more when 284 News returns.
We understand that you cannot come to the store and encourage you to stay at home. If you need assistance with bill payments, top-ups, or troubleshooting, we are here to help. Call us at 444-4444 from 7 a.m. to 7 p.m. daily, or visit our website at www.cctbvi.com. Click Top Up here or My CCT for top-up or bill payments. Social distancing with CCT.
Welcome everybody. It's Friday, May 1st, 2020. I'm Ron Grant.
And I am Javon Wilson. A fantastic Friday that is.
Indeed.
Ron, we have a lot to get into today. But before we head straight into our newscast, viewers, we just want to remind you that the BVI Port Authority is now advising businesses to remove their containers that would have arrived during the 24-hour curfew period from the port personnel, of course, to avoid storage fees, which will take effect from May 6th. So again, business owners, you are duly reminded. We don't want to be inheriting any fees at this time of crisis. The ports in Tortola and Virgin Gorda remains open Monday to Fridays, that is 7 a.m. to 12:30 p.m. daily, and on Sundays 8 a.m. to 12:30 p.m.
Awesome. Now, in addition to that, Jovan, we heard from the Minister of Health today at a press conference for government that the 9 tests that were sent away have returned negative. So we want to inform the people of that. And of course, we are thankful once again for the negative case returning.
Yes.
The BVI is now ranking 5th amongst the OECS communities and countries as it pertains to the swift action and testing as it pertains to COVID-19. So again, good news coming out of a live press conference earlier today.
I love that you highlighted where we're ranked because,
Yes.
again, we've been saying this over and over as it relates to the health aspect of the government's response to COVID-19. For sure, we have been looked at as a model within the region, Ron, in slowing the spread. So again, kudos to all members of government, persons within the health sector, and of course all the stakeholders that play a role, especially our Virgin Islanders and residents who are abiding by the rules to ensure that we slow the spread of COVID-19.
And now beginning on, topping our newscast today, the Ministry of Education, Culture, Youth Affairs, Fisheries and Agriculture is putting measures in place to assist parents, teachers and students with resources for the upcoming remote learning. These resources include laptops, device loan program, video packages, as well as commitment and telecommunications companies to lower prices of data packages or even special data packages offerings from student and teachers. Now, the Ministry of Education, Culture, Youth Affairs, Fisheries and Agriculture, Dr. the Honorable Natalia Whitley told parents during the remote learning orientation for parents that the territory has to make the adjustment toward the online education. He said, and I quote, "In fact, I would say that this is something we have been speaking about for many years before COVID-19. We have been speaking about embracing technology and using it as a tool to advance the education system. To be able to survive in the world as it is today, one of the core competencies you must acquire is being able to utilize technology." The Minister of Education said the ministry understands that some students may not have the ability to access online learning tools due to limited resources at home, and several measures would be put in place. These, he said, include 1. Students who are deemed least capable of being able to purchase a laptop will be given priority from the donation of 1,000 laptops that were contributions by the BVI corporate community through Unite BVI. Now, a loan program will be available for parents for students in grades 7 to 9 who are unable to purchase laptops and the existing Virgin Islands Digital Education VIDE devices for a minimal fee. Devices will remain the property of the government of the Virgin Islands. A rent-to-own program is also being explored. In addition, learning video packages will also be available for students to download. The ministry will be sourcing storage drives, jump drives, for students without internet. Video lessons will be uploaded by teachers. Flow has discounted existing internet plans by 25% to make them more affordable for some families. Both Digital and Flow have decided to zero-rate educational websites that will be used for online learning. Zero rating means that data for the streaming, the selected online platforms will not be subtracted from data plans. Of course, CCT has a different billing model. Their plans are unlimited. Based on the survey results for remote learning, parents indicated that they were willing to pay a certain amount of money for internet plans. The ministry has engaged the telecommunications companies with creating specific packages that can match what parents are able to pay. Now, in addition, schools will be available to principals and teachers for a limited time for teachers to get access to resources. Principals will handle the management of this access in line with the curfew order. The Honorable Wheatley assured parents that the ministry is doing everything in its power to ensure that students continue to learn and are provided instructions to succeed. Online orientation and review for students and parents took place yesterday, Thursday, April 30th, and today, May 1st, for all public schools. Online classes will begin on Monday, May 4th. 3 online platforms are being occupied. Class Dojo, Google Classroom, and Cisco WebEx have been suggested to facilitate the remote learning. To view the remote learning orientation for parents online, please visit the government's Facebook page at BVI Government. Now, for more information about the remote learning during this COVID-19 pandemic, contact the Ministry of Education, Culture, Youth Affairs, Fisheries, and Sports at 468-9491. Again, that number is 468-9491. Continuing to forge ahead, Jovan, in these very trying times and getting ready to start another academic term in the BVI.
In an unconventional way, which
Yes.
I love. But again, one of the reasons, one of the good things we see coming out of this phase is the shift to something new, something that works even beyond COVID-19, and that is us embracing the positives of technology. I love with this as well. Not only are we providing students with laptops or the possibilities of accessing those laptops, but for persons who may not be able to access those laptops, we have physical packets and various forums. I think the minister also mentioned jump drives will be utilized as well to ensure that we explore every option, because we are, when you consider the student population, it's a wide dynamic, and we have to ensure that we're reaching each and every one of our students and making that process as comfortable and as effective as possible. So I think this is a step in the right directions. Viewers, we have to report that payments for services rendered by the government of the Virgin Islands are now being accepted through remote processing. Acting Accountant General Ms. Laurel Smith said customers can email their credit or debit card information along with an authorization form and a valid form of identification to the department for processing of payment. Ms. Smith added, quote, "If the credit or debit card holder is not the individual completing the authorization form, a letter authorizing the use of the card must be submitted from the card holder." Another option for fee payment by customers also is to credit the government's operating bank account at CBIC First Caribbean International Bank by means of wire transfer, which will then be credited to the relevant department. The government of the Virgin Islands is currently working on e-government legislation that will guide the policy and framework for accepting payments online. In the interim, however, these remote payment options allow for the receipt of payment while still ensuring that social distancing guidelines are met to protect customers and public officers against contracted COVID-19. These measures are also in keeping with the government's phased approach to rebooting and reawakening the BVI's economy. Ron, another measure here, we see the government shifting in quite a new direction, and I think this is something the residents of the BVI have been calling for a very long time. We've heard the term e-government for a very long time, but not necessarily seeing it come into fruition as fast as we are now. So we are grateful that coming out of this crisis, we will be a bit more resilient as it relates to the public and the private service going forward.
And of course, some services were able to be paid for online, but now we see this being explored to much more of the government services. So again, it's a step in the right direction.
All right, viewers, it's still ahead. Registration for backyard gardening competition ends, and the Caribbean Development Bank has rolled out a COVID relief grant. Viewers, just tune in to see how you may be able to benefit from this and so much more when we return.
Eco? 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 Everyone is speaking about eco-friendly products. We wanted to take the time to introduce the Eco Island brand. Eco Island is a brand dedicated to providing you with a reliable and cost-effective solution. Eco-friendly products for your restaurant, hotel, bar, office, and home. with takeaway trays, bags, cups, paper straws, cutlery, and cleaners. For more information, follow us at Eco Island 100.
Is business slow, cash flow down, hosting an upcoming event? We can help. Advertise with 284 Media and take your business or event to the next level by enhancing your present marketing and messaging strategies. Allow our team of experts to create a personalized ad that sets your business apart from all the rest. This could be your business or event. So, what are you waiting for? Contact our marketing team at 284media at cctbvi.com. Advertising with us works.
Viewers, welcome back. Now, some really great news for creatives within the BVI. Now, in light of the loss of revenue by the creative industry practitioners due to the effects of COVID-19, the Caribbean Development Bank has allocated $100,000 for emergency relief grants through its Cultural and Creative Industries Innovation Fund. Of these funds, the CDB has allocated about $50,000 for the music subsector and $50,000 for the festivals and carnival subsector. This grant is targeted at, again, creative industry entrepreneurs who can demonstrate loss of income from music, festival, and carnival events that have been canceled as a result of COVID-19. However, it must be used for one of the following. Now, first off, product development. They want to ensure that you are able to produce an online and virtual product or event on an existing platform external to the Caribbean Development Bank that lends to revenue generation. Market distribution and channeling to get on board and promote new Caribbean content from emerging and established producers through existing regional and international electronic platforms. And thirdly, digital disruptive technologies for music and festivals and carnivals to support the further development of an existing electronic solution that will facilitate revenue generation through online creative industry showcases, exchanges, and performances. It is also important to note, viewers, that projects should be community-oriented, where possible, with a percentage of those funds going back towards associations of healthcare workers or sanitation workers or registered charities. So, Ron, we see here the corporate community, of course, the Caribbean Development Bank extending themselves, really adopting the region and embracing the whole ideology of social corporate responsibility. And I know that's a term we use a lot here at 284 Media, especially when we speak about CCT and the way it extends its arm to the community. But you see the bank is now being able to provide an avenue for persons to benefit from the realm on a realm that it trickles back down into the community, into the society that we live in. And I'm really happy about this because when we think about creatives especially, it's an industry where we see persons really getting a push around or hardly getting paid for what they deserve. You know, for years we've heard about music bands, poets, musicians in general, delayed payments, not being paid on time, or sometimes not even being paid at all. So again, I'm really happy to see this, and I think it couldn't be more timely for them to not only acknowledge creatives but assist monetarily, and trust me, again, I think this is a welcome approach by so many in the BVI.
The timing is impeccable. It's definitely great timing, but we have to admit the Caribbean Development Bank have been long serving the region. They've been long-standing persons who commit and help the Caribbean brothers and sisters in any way they can. So kudos to them again for stepping up in this way. And
for sure, you are free to reach out to the Caribbean Development Bank's page for more information on this grant, because again, BVI landers do stand to benefit from this.
Awesome. Continuing on, the Ministry of Education, Culture, Youth Affairs, Fisheries, and Agriculture is informing and remembering the public that a backyard garden is a fun way and healthy way of feeding one's self. The minister's comments come as the ministry launched a backyard garden competition to encourage residents to grow their own food. Honorable Wheatley extended an invitation to all backyard gardeners to register and participate in the competition. Now, the Department of Agriculture and Fisheries has been sharing weekly tips to help gardeners grow successful crops. Here are a few of those tips. Tip 1. Did you know backyard gardens are associated with better nutrition and food security? Food from your garden is fresher, healthier, more nutritious, and of course, less expensive. Tip number 2. Did you know many plants and vegetables will do very well in containers? A vegetable container garden can be easier and less time-consuming than a large in-the-ground garden. Some suitable crops are herbs, peppers, broccoli, and green leafy vegetables. Registration for the competition began on April 16 and it's ending today. So today is your last day to register for this competition. The contest will run for 6 months and winners will be announced on World Food Day on October 16th. If you have any questions at all, for more information to register for the competition and to view community garden photos, video presentation, and tips, visit the Department of Agriculture and Fisheries at their Facebook page at gov.doav. Jovan, I know you are we all love fruits and vegetables, but you are definitely one that enjoy fresh fruits and vegetables. Have you ever, or do you have somewhat of a backyard garden, or do you do any gardening at all?
Well, unfortunately, where I live, my apartment doesn't have the space to accommodate one. But trust me, I've been yearning to the point where I literally have an aloe plant at my sink that dies.
There you go. That's a start.
Probably every 3 weeks, I have to replace it. But I think this is the way to go. I know around on the onset of coronavirus, when we were suggesting, things persons can do at home while on lockdown, one of the things we mentioned was the idea of a kitchen garden. I remember you speaking about the joy it brings just to know you're able to tend to a garden and just watching your produce grow. I think it's so important, but even more important is food security at this time. And I think we want to ensure that we know where our foods are coming from. And I'm so happy by extension, not only of this competition, but by extension, we were able to inject about $2 million into the agricultural industry because it's so important. I think what we're doing is we're building a culture. And I think that is what's most important here, self-sufficiency, and I think that's the way to go going forward.
Indeed, and that was actually one of the things that I picked up over the quarantine and the lockdown.
Yes.
My wife and I did a little bit of gardening, and we started some, our little pot, so it's a work in progress.
All right,
Still
Ron.
ahead, USVI economy set to reopen May 14, and the world is projected to welcome an estimated 7 million unwanted pregnancies. All this and more when 284 News returns. You don't want to miss these stories at all.
Understand that you cannot come to the store and encourage you to stay at home. If you need assistance with bill payments, top-ups, or troubleshooting, we are here to help. Call us at 444-4444 from 7 a.m. to 7 p.m. daily, or visit our website at www.cctbvi.com. Click Top Up here or My CCT for top-up or bill payments. Social distancing with CCT.
Viewers, welcome back. You're watching 284 News. Now on to some news over in St. Thomas with our brothers and sisters over in the U.S. Virgin Islands. The VI Consortium has reported that the USVI Governor Albert Bryan Jr. on Wednesday laid out a plan for the phased reopening of the territory, the first step towards a new normalcy in the current coronavirus crisis. Beginning on Monday, May 4th, the territory of the Virgin Islands will move into a less restrictive phase referred to as safer at home, whereby some lower risk businesses such as retail, recreational, personal grooming, and other establishments can begin doing business once more. New guidelines to assure customer and employee protection from the spread of the coronavirus were also announced as well. The most significant change in our status requires that all individuals that patronize commercial establishments wear a facial covering before they enter the premises, Governor Bryan said. He added, no mask, no service. Personal protection wear does not mean that the medical grade N95 mask healthcare providers utilize, rather simply face coverings that help protect individuals from spreading or contracting the COVID-19 disease. Key facts and changes to include all gatherings of people require facial coverings and appropriate social distancing. Children under the age of 2 years old and those with acute respiratory ailments are exempt from the facial covering mandate. Retail stores, no more than 10 customers are permitted into a retail store at any given time. Grocery stores and big box stores such as Home Depot and Kmart are exempt from the 10-person rule. Remember, again, no mask, no service. These words were reiterated by Governor Bryan. No business is allowed to provide indoor service without a mask or outdoor service without a mask. Public and private schools will remain closed. Restaurants are still limited to takeout, delivery, or drive-through services. Personal grooming services such as barbershops, hair salons, and massage therapists and others are permitted to operate by appointment only. He said, and I quote, they must employ strict hygiene guidelines and frequent sanitation procedures for all contact services in the shop and the tools. Governor Bryant added this includes hand sanitizers for all patrons upon entrance to those establishments, a mask in place for the entire time of the visit. He added that no more than 5 customers will be allowed in any establishment at any given time to wait. No more than 10 people, including employees, can be there at any time. Now, large establishments can seek a waiver from the rule by contacting the Department of Licensing and Consumer Affairs. The Department of Health is expected to provide more specific guidelines for U.S. Virgin Islanders on how personal grooming operations can do business, offering the maximum level of customer and provider safety. Recreational facilities such as gyms, tennis courts, and golf courses are also allowed to open. Contact sports like basketball, for example, remain strictly prohibited. Bowling alleys. This is a very interesting one for residents in the U.S. Virgin Islands. Bowling alleys and movie theaters must open, but there will be no selling of food or beverages on the premises. Visitation to nursing homes are still prohibited. Childcare facilities and schools will remain closed. The Department of Human Services will be giving more guidelines as we see. Now, Jovan, we see where some very familiar traits as it pertains to the phase opening, some very similar traits that we have been practicing here in the BVI, similarly over in the U.S. Virgin Islands, but some additional ones have been added. For example, churches may now conduct services providing they do not exceed a capacity of 50 individuals, and all, including the pastor, again, must wear a face mask. All of us are trying to get back to a new way of norm, and our brothers and sisters over there in the U.S. Virgin Islands are doing the same.
And I think that's what's important, us curtailing this to see what fits us and our economy. I know in comparison to the BVI, very different still, somewhat, in the USVI, we see a more relaxed lockdown as opposed to the BVI with strict, stringent measures. And we see those, it's a comparison almost to see what measures will work. But I personally think it boils down to the economy, the realities of that specific jurisdiction. And I think governments are continuing to do what works specifically for them. On the note of movie theaters, I know this one was heavily spoken about on social media. Why movie theaters? How can you social distance at a movie theater realistically? And these are some of the questions that continues to come forward. But again, governments are doing as they deem fit for their respective countries. Indeed. But we're just happy to see, like you said,
a gradual process to some normalcy.
Right across the water, persons are somewhat heading back into a state of normalcy. And I think that is very important to the sanity of so many persons, not just in the USVI, but across the world. Viewers, we're going to move right along. I think perhaps the most interesting story for today. Now, millions of women will lose access to contraception, face unexpected pregnancies, and suffer gender-based violence as a result of COVID-19, according to a grim report from UNFPA, which is the United Nations Sexual and Reproductive Health Agency. Now, some key facts to go over here. First of all, overtaxed health systems, closed facilities, and disrupted supply chains will now curtail access to reproductive care for women and girls, particularly in low-income nations, according to UNFPA. Now, assuming 6 months of lockdown, 47 million women in 114 low to middle income countries will likely lose access to contraception because of the pandemic, leading to, get this, viewers, 7 million unintended pregnancies, the report says. Now, for every 3 months of lockdown, 15 million new cases of gender-based violence can be expected, according to the report. 2 million genital mutilations will result, as the UN reports the programs designed to prevent the procedure are now put on pause. 13 million girls will be forced into child marriages in the next 10 years that could have been prevented prior to the pandemic, according to UNFPA claims. Now, UNFPA Executive Director Dr. Natalia Kanem said, quote, "This new data shows the catastrophic impact that COVID-19 could soon have on women and girls globally. The pandemic is deepening inequalities, and millions more women and girls are now at risk, losing the ability to plan their families and protect their bodies and their health." Now, Ron, this is a crucial quote coming from Dr. Kanem that really truly underlines the reality of what is happening around the world. I mean, a lot of what have been, what was mentioned a second ago isn't the reality here within the region, but we have to continue to remember the grappling, frightening reality of persons across the world. And I know, again, as we speak, abortions are not still legal, still not legal in the British Virgin Islands, but this is a conversation that continues to come to the surface, even as we examine pro-life versus pro-choice. But while it remains illegal here, the study still speaks to a shocking reality again, and now with persons now restricted to the home, we could see a significant increase in pregnancies.
In addition to the pregnancies, Jovan, this story I think really underscores some of the social ills that we face and that are regularly, not talked about as it pertains to domestic violence and abuse, not only with women but very young girls.
Absolutely. And on the flip side, within this story, Ron, we know while women and men contract the coronavirus at roughly the same rate, research has now indicated that men are up to 2.5 times more likely to develop severe or life-threatening symptoms. So while our women are reproducing at alarming rates, our men are also heavily impacted. But when we examine this, of course, I know you spoke about this in an initial report. It really has to do with the fact that when you examine the health of men, men are a lot more, generally less inclined to take care of their health. So as such, will be considered more high risk due to these, a lot of the pre-existing conditions that have been pushed to the side for years.
And we've seen this story over in the Dominican Republic, where men, particularly in that particular area, they have been, the figures are skyrocketing as pertains to how many are not only contracting the virus, but are actually dying as well.
All right. Well, viewers, that is our time for today. But be sure to like us on Facebook at 284 Media if you haven't as yet. You can also visit us on Instagram and Twitter at 284BVI. My name is Javon Wilson.
And I'm Ron Grant. We'll see you on Monday as we deliver your daily dose of local, regional, and international content. We're wishing everyone a happy Friday and a wonderful weekend. We're 284 News, your source for honest and impartial news, right here on 284 Media. Happy Friday.
Are you a business owner? Business owners are very busy thinking on ways to grow. Wouldn't you like a vendor that makes life easier? P3 Paper Plastic Products offers 24-hour WhatsApp ordering. So, whether you're on vacation, at a sporting event, or, I don't know, forgot, P3 Paper Plastic Products has got you covered with great prices, better service.
Father Jesus, that line you long like church service.
Alright, you enjoy the rest of the day. Next customer line, please. Wait, hold on a second.
Yes, Sonny boy, come, yes, son.
Good morning.
Good morning, Sonny boy. Hold on there. You must have cut fun topic.
It's okay, I'll take care of it.
What? No man to take care of me.
How may I assist you? You want top of power?
You want top of power?
Join the prepaid party with CCT and enjoy more affordable data plans, more top-up promotions, more savings with hero bundles, and more value for your money each and every Tuesday with Top Up Turn Up Tuesday. Visit a CCT store today or anywhere CCT Top Up is sold and top up your phone.
5, 10, 15, 20, 25, 30. You want top of power?
Some claim that the age of a true gentleman is far behind us, but here at 284 Media, we disagree. He may appear in different guises today, but the values and ideals that make him a gent still stand. 284 Media proudly presents its newest talk show, The Art of a Distinguished Gentleman, with yours truly, Ron Grant. A show poised to help guide modern-day men into 21st century distinguished gentlemen. Don't worry, it's not all about suits and bow ties, but raw, real-life lessons that translate to grounded, community-minded, well-rounded men. The Art of a Distinguished Gentleman, a